Late-night solitude has a way of exposing the thin veil between the ordinary and the inexplicable, and 3 true accounts of being all alone at night prove how terrifying that isolation can become when silence is broken by things that should not be there. The first story comes from a college student named Elena, who stayed alone in her family-owned rural cabin during winter break, believing a weekend of quiet would help her finish her research paper. But by the second night, the creaking of the wood seemed too deliberate to be the cabin settling, and around midnight, she heard slow, dragging footsteps across the porch, even though no fresh snow tracks appeared outside the next morning. And on the third night, as she tried to sleep in the upstairs loft, Elena heard someone whisper her name from the bottom of the ladder. Her name, drawn out like breath over ice. And when she turned on the lamp, the whispering stopped, but the footprints she later found were wet, as though something had come in from the frozen lake nearby. The second story comes from Aaron, a long-haul truck driver used to sleeping in his cab on remote roads, who parked near an abandoned way station off a highway in Nevada, and woke around 2:30 a.m. to the sensation of someone tugging gently on the handle of his driver's side door. The sound subtle but deliberate, and thinking it might be another driver in trouble, he peeked through the window only to see the entire lot empty aside from his rig. Yet as he lay back down, he heard the metallic tap-tap-tap of fingernails brushing the window just behind his headrest, followed by the faint scraping sound around the edges of the doorframe. And though the cab was locked, he swore something tall and thin passed in front of his headlights, because the shadows stretched unnaturally long and crooked across the asphalt. And in the morning, he found smudges on the glass-shaped, almost like palm prints, but far too long-fingered to belong to any person he knew. The third tale involves Marissa, a new mother whose husband was away on a work trip while she stayed home with their 4-month-old daughter in a creaky old house they had recently moved into. And one night close to 1 a.m., as the baby finally slept, Marissa heard the wooden floorboards in the hallway flex as if someone stepped carefully and slowly toward the nursery, and she assumed it was just temperature shifts until the baby monitor crackled with static, and then caught a faint lullaby sung in a low, raspy hum that definitely wasn't coming from her. And rushing to the nursery, she found the room freezing cold, despite the heater running, the rocking chair moving like someone had just stood up from it, and a smell of damp earth lingering near the crib. For 2 nights afterward, she slept with the lights on, and the house remained unnervingly silent. But on the third night, the baby began crying suddenly at 3 a.m., and when Marissa grabbed the monitor, she saw, just for a few seconds, the shape of an arm pulling away from the crib railing before the screen flickered to black. And though she raced into the room, there was nothing there except the chair slowly rocking again, even though no window was open and no draft could explain the motion. And after she fled to her sister's house the next morning, a neighbor reluctantly shared that the property once belonged to a woman who lost her child to illness a century earlier, and was rumored never to have left, as though forever wandering the hallways at night searching for the sound of a cradle. Each of these people insists what they heard and saw was not a trick of fatigue or imagination, because the weight of footsteps on wood, the texture of breath against glass, and the echo of lullabies do not appear in the mind without something to summon them. And if these stories share one thing, it is that being alone at night does not guarantee solitude. Sometimes it means you are the only one who can hear or see whatever else is out there in the dark, watching, reaching, and waiting to be acknowledged.